Hey everybody, Jedimanda here again this week to give you another sewing tip tutorial for the week. This week I'm actually going to start a new segment with these videos called What the F is That? Specifically this week, we're going to be talking about these weird items. Within this video series, I'm going to be showing you a lot of tools that are really odd to look at from a non-sewing point of view. So I'm going to be telling you about these tools to help you out in your own sewing goals. The first things I want to show you are these puppies. These are actually called seam gauges. Many people actually get these for free in their basic sewing boxes and actually never use them because they're really confused on how they look because they have this little red slider thingy and a pointed end that is confusing. Well, these little puppies are actually extremely useful. They're called seam gauges because they actually help you gauge the hem or a seam allowance from a point that you've marked, or they help you mark a hem on your fabric with your chalk that you learned from last week. So I'll show you guys over here at my sewing table exactly how to use these things. To use a seam gauge, it's actually pretty simple. What you'll do is that you'll line the 0 up with the hem, or basically the end of your fabric, and you move this little slider along to find the actual hem of your fabric. It's hard to tell because this is red fabric where this little puppy is, but if I want to make a 1/2 inch seam allowance up from right here and mark it on my pattern, I'll just move this guy up to a 1/2 inch and it actually stays there pretty locked, and I'll have these little puppies out here to where I can actually mark it from. So I just take my chalk, mark, mark, and boom, I actually have my mark that I need. You can also use it this way. But the problem is, you know, it has this little pointed end, which is actually a point turner that you can use under the iron, believe it or not. Next thing I want to show you guys is an owl. An owl is basically a giant piercing tool. Not for your ears or any other piercing, but for piercing holes through your fabric, especially leather. And I actually like to use it on all of my fabrics that I'm making corsets with. What it does is when you press it in, it actually spreads the fibers out a little bit and doesn't really rip your fabric, so you can actually put the eyelets in with ease, and it doesn't rip your fabric so the eyelets don't pop out or nothing takes, or when the first tighten that you have, the eyelets don't fall out. It's an extremely handy tool, especially for corsetry making, which I plan to do a whole month on for sewing tutorials, guys. Corsets. The next thing I want to show you guys is actually really difficult to see on video, but it's called a French curve or a hip curve or a curve ruler or a hip ruler, or this one's actually called styling design ruler. What it is actually a curved ruler. Pretty simple, right? Well, some people have a really hard time using these because they really don't know what the numbers on the sides are. And that, my friend, is just an extra ruler that is curved. This is mainly used in pattern making. It's used to find darts, it's used to mark armholes and make that nice, really even curve within your sloper of your pattern for your armhole, so you can transfer it on the other side, or so you can just basically even out your markings that you already made. It's also used when making fitted skirts as a hip curve to go with along the lines of the actual body, since we're all not really that straight up and down. We have curves. So if you're into pattern making and you want to start, this is another tool to invest in. If you guys, once again, have any questions about these tools that I gave you guys, or if you guys have any other tools you want to suggest me do a tutorial on, let me know in the comments below or tag me at Jedimanda, and I'll see you all next week. Goodbye!